Like many of you, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, everything changed yesterday with the news that David Bowie had died. Quite simply, he was the best. He was my favourite musical artist. Just thinking about, whenever anyone has asked me in the past who I would love to see play live again more than anybody in the world, the answer would always be Bowie. If people asked me who I'd want to interview, it was always Bowie, always. And I remember just throughout my life seeing the video to Ashes and Ashes for the very first time and how life-changing that was, just altering my perception of what artists, what music could be and what people could do. I remember stopping a party like all of us, just crowding around a television, waiting to watch the exclusive screening of China Girl. Literally everything stopped just to see this video, to see what Bowie had done next. I remember going to Milton Keynes Bowl for the Serious Moonlight Tour. This was back in 1983. I was just looking at the set list and seeing what he played there. And throughout my life, he was incredibly important. Throughout his life and career, he was always innovative, consistently brilliant. And I'm not telling you anything that you don't already know. But I was very lucky when I was at Radio 1 to get the opportunity to interview David Bowie. And it was in 1997. The album that he was promoting, that he was talking about, was called Earthling. And I've told this story before, but just forgive me if you've heard it. I remember being obviously quite daunted at the prospect of interviewing David Bowie. And I was in the studio on my own. Producer had gone. And I was just sitting there prepping for the interview, writing down notes, writing down questions, head down. Door opened. I presumed it was my producer. And then I suddenly heard this voice just go, is it all right if I smoke in here? And I looked up. And it was him, David Bowie. No one had brought him in. He'd just come in on his own and he just plonked himself down, sat there. And he did everything he could to make me feel completely relaxed. He was so friendly. He was just absolutely lovely. And the chat was great, as you're going to hear now. So from 1997, I used to do a show on Radio 1. It was called The Lunchtime Social. That's what we named the whole thing. And so this interview is taken from that time. So 1997, The Lunchtime Social. Just sit back. If you're a Bowie fan, I do hope you enjoy this.
Joe Whiley, BBC Radio 2.
It's Radio 1, The Lunchtime Social, and today I'm well chuffed to say my guest is David Bowie. Hi and welcome along.
Hi, Joe.
Hi. And what is your history with this place? We're in a new building from where you might have been to Radio 1 at any time in the past.
Yeah, this is the first venture. The coffee's even worse here than it was.
And it is diabolical.
But I've got a very nice, I think, what's this, a squash of something?
Yeah, you have to drink orange or lemon squash when you come here. You don't touch the coffee at all.
It's in the book.
Yeah. Was there John Peel sessions and...
Yeah, I did a lot of that stuff in the old days. We did, actually, funnily enough, the things that we did with John were mainly live performance things, and they were done in the theatre complex.
Right.
And they were a lot of fun. John was great about helping new acts, which, of course, we were in that time.
Yeah.
About 68, something like that.
Yeah.
I think we did some of our very first performances with John, before we actually were on the road.
You seem very contented kind of bloke these days, very kind of like you're enjoying
Isn't
yourself.
Isn't that disappointing?
I don't know,
it's
more
the bane
angst,
of the, it's
please.
the bane of the writer, because we're not supposed to be able to write when we're sort of, happy and content.
Right.
So I'm thinking about, getting back on drugs and things.
If you could.
Yeah, maybe just aspirin or something.
I've got some migraine relief in my bag, actually. That might help.
Ibuprofen, I find, are really quite tasty.
Just the two at a time.
Yeah, 2 of the 400s.
So does that not apply to you then?
What's that?
Just the idea that you do produce better material when you're depressed or angst-ridden.
The most obvious example for me is that Low was really a completely drug-free album, and it was the immediate end of the spell when I was really trying to kick drugs. And I believe that Low is probably some of my best work, so I'm not really sure about that. Maxim. Right. I think it has more to do with enthusiasm for what you're doing. If you have a genuine, real kind of motivation for making music, then I don't think anything either helps or hinders, really.
But how do you continue that motivation after, a few years in the business, David?
I don't think... Nothing can help it but one's own sort of natural enthusiasm. I don't think you can create a kind of a synthetic enthusiasm for music. I think you either love music or you go off it a bit.
And how have you been off it at certain times in your career?
Oh, yeah, I think it's probably more off me than actually going off music, because even in the period that I believe I wrote practically nothing of any validity, which was, for me, the last part of the 80s, I hated being a writer that period.
So what work are you talking about?
I did. None of it was produced, that's the thing. I made virtually nothing after, what was the album called? Never Let Me Down. And that I didn't like as an album. And I really didn't record anything during that period. But I was still listening to music, but other people's music, very intensely, and kind of burying myself in stuff that I liked at the time, which was at that period Pixies and Sonic Youth and all that sort of middle 80s. music that I thought was overwhelmingly fresh and lovely.
So that kind of kick-started you.
Yeah,
again.
It did really. I just kind of the shows were massive. They were all stadium shows. It was, I suppose, a success in material terms. Yes, it was a real success in material terms, and the albums were selling far better than they should have done. But I just wasn't. I really had a moment where I really wanted to just quit completely. But that's a natural process for any artist, the ups and downs and things. And
you must go through it over and over again.
Yeah.
Does it? I mean, do you not worry that your time will come and people will stop taking notice of the stuff that you're doing now, and it's like, oh, maybe I should stop?
I think if we weren't selling albums and if we weren't playing performances, I wonder if I would still bother to write. I often question myself about that. What are my real motives? I think every artist does. You always say that you're writing strictly for yourself, but I think it's probably a fallacy, or if not a lie, to say if nobody bought records or came to our shows, I'd still write because I'm only doing it for me. I'm not really sure about that. I've never known that, fortunately. Immodestly, he said. So I don't know, but we shall see.
It's Lazarus from David Bowie's final album, Black Star. Very poignant now, obviously, listen to that. We'll go back now to the interview that I did with David at Radio 1, which was back in 1997. And I asked him where he gets the inspiration for writing.
I think environment has a lot to do with me as a writer. I really soak up the places and the people and the events of wherever I happen to be. And I've got a natural curiosity about life. I tend to go out an awful lot. I see everything that's happening. And I'm very good.
You just don't like missing out, is that it? It's like,
I just love it, you know.
Like, oh,
I mean, I'm not a recluse. I'm not that kind of person. I don't go and hide away somewhere, you know. I'm always in some town somewhere, seeing a bit of theatre or a band or a club or cinema or anything, you know.
And that is what inspires you.
I guess just having some links with the society you're in, you know.
Don't you get hassled when you go out?
No, never.
Don't you?
Never. I have a great time.
Right. But people
there
must
again,
come up to you all the time.
I travel, you know, I'm a quick, mobile, intelligent unit. I don't travel with a lot of people. I just, you know, either myself, my wife, or just maybe a couple of friends or whatever. But we don't go out. I don't go out as a crowd, and you know, so it's really easy for me to get around.
Do you go out in disguise or anything?
I don't have to. No, I don't bother.
Don't you?
That. No. No handkerchief on my nose or anything.
Have you met Michael Jackson?
Yeah, I've met him 2 times. He's come to a couple of shows.
Right. What's he like?
I don't know. I've got absolutely no idea. He's very charming. He's very polite. You don't seem to get much feedback from him. He's not the kind of guy, I don't think, that sits down for a good old chat, you know.
Yeah. But why... why has he kind of gone that way and you've gone this way? You know, you are still social. You are still out there enjoying yourself, meeting people.
Yeah,
that's okay. Say no more.
World. I don't know. I'm quite a Europhile, you know. I keep... I still think of Europe and specifically Britain as my roots and where I come from.
Yeah. So you have a horror of kind of shutting yourself away.
Yeah.
That would probably be the worst thing that could happen to you.
I'd hate that. Yeah, I would be absolutely lousy on a desert island.
Right. And do you get very lonely? You like company then?
No, I don't get lonely. I just I like the vibe. I must have the vibe.
Right.
I like the buzz. It's my adrenaline.
Oh God,
you know?
you have got into dance music, haven't you? You can tell me. We'll talk about that.
No. It's just, you know, one gives up drugs and you replace it with society, which is not a bad option.
Yeah.
Because probably when I was doing drugs, I think that's the time when I was really a recluse.
Yeah.
So I've probably come full circle now.
Yeah. So you have got an addictive nature.
That's wrong, isn't it? It's half circle.
Yeah.
If I'd gone full circle, I'd be back on the garage again, yeah.
Give you 10 years, okay.
Yeah, that's right.
What was Phoenix like when you played there?
Oh, it's always good, yeah. No, it's terrific. I'm not going on the road next year. I'm taking a year off because I want to get some real writing and recording done. And I'm going to miss it. I really like it. We've only done mainly festivals this year. We've done 25 festivals over the course of this last 10 weeks. And it's just been wonderful. And each year it's gotten better and better for us out there.
Does it not get dull when you do gig after gig after gig? What makes it still exciting? Like, is it the band that you've got on stage or the audience?
Primarily I'm doing songs and material that I really, really feel I can do well on stage and kind of mean it. Which meant dropping an awful lot of songs that would be expected of me. And I guess it's like kid in a toy shop. I've got a lot of new material that I like a lot from outside, even Buddha of Suburbia and Earthling, and concentrating a lot on that material. And
Don't the audience going, "Oh, go on, please play."
No, surprisingly,
classics.
that's not what's been happening. In fact, because the audiences have been so young, most of them are actually only more familiar with things like Earthling and Outside, which has been just great for us.
Yeah.
And I throw in a few things that, you know, I'm doing a kind of an acoustic version of Jean Genie, which is kind of fun. And things like Quicksand from Hunky Dory.
Yeah.
And some more obscure things. Things that weren't singles, but like Fashion.
Yeah. Just stuff that kind of amuses you.
It's kind of funny. Fashion kind of works now for some reason. What else do we do? Look back in anger, we do, you know. I mean, they're strange old chestnuts. They're not kind of the songs you'd expect us to do.
You gate crashed the Radio 1 dance tent this year, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
were you invited, or did you just like?
It was great. Well, by the time we finished, it was packed.
The people didn't really know it was you on stage.
No,
because
we kept the lights down so they couldn't see us.
Really?
And we just used our light show, which is formidable. We've got a wonderful light show.
Yeah.
And they just took it for what it was, you know, and it was tremendous. It was just great. And the Ministry of Sound asked us. I was able to say, no, I'm sorry, we can't fit you in. We're working in London. Ministry of Sound asked us if we do a gig down there, but we couldn't do that. But
so do you feel like you are back in?
No, the thing is, we're not a dance band. I'm not a dance writer. I merely work with a dance vocabulary, the genre of dance. I like that particular rhythm structure. But what I do is idiosyncratically me. And what we started doing a couple of years ago was trying to do a hybrid of the best dynamics of rock with dance rhythms.
Yeah.
And that is something that I've repeatedly done through my life. I think from soul music through to straightforward disco. It's an area that I really find it's really exuberant working there. I like that. And I think we've done it very successfully. And my feeling is that you'll hear more and more kind of hybrid that we've been doing for the last couple of years. You'll find that there will be more vocals, more melodies coming into dance music.
Who else do you really admire then, out of the dance area? What kind of...
Out of the dance
area?
Soul Coughing's not bad. They're pretty good. Out of the dance area, let's see, who do I still like? Oh, really ridiculous things. I mean, I still like Scott Walker. I still think he's one of the most innovative artists working today.
Yeah.
Nobody gives him any credit at all, I don't think.
What about the bands that are, you know, I hate to mention, but Oasis, that kind of stuff? Does that not inspire you
They're
at all?
okay, you know. They're good at what they do. It's just not my kind of music, particularly at the moment.
Yeah.
Who knows? In a couple of years, I might be doing that. But I don't think
Going
so.
back to the Beatles, going through your Beatles phase.
Yeah.
No.
No.
It's a god-awful small affair to the girl with the mousy hair.
Life on Mars, but of course. We shall now head back to the final part of this chat that I did with David Bowie in 1997, which was at Radio 1. You can just hear the way he's speaking, just how easy he made it, just so giving as an interview and so fun as well. Now, when I did the lunchtime social there, we did a feature, I think it's called The Questionnaire, and it's where I asked David a series of questions, and I can't quite believe some of the questions that I did ask him. But anyway, he went along with the whole thing. It's a bit of a game. And also brought about some rather interesting questions. So this is the way it went. We'll just like to subject you to the questionnaire, this stuff that we throw at you. The first gig that you ever went to.
Do you know what I did then? I went for a cigarette.
I thought it for your heart, actually. What panic.
Haven't you heard? I have no heart.
Actually, the sprinklers will probably go off in here if you light up anyway. So we'll just get doused.
Okay.
Right, the first gig that you ever went to.
The first gig that I ever went to?
Yes.
The first time I ever saw a band live were rehearsals for Peter J and the Jaywalkers, who were a sax band back in the 60s. They were rehearsing locally in a church hall, and me and my mate heard all this music coming out of it. So we got in the back and we just stood in the back and watched all these saxophones playing. It was so cool. And then actually they became nearly one of the first gigs that I did see, because they supported Little Richard when he came over. And I saw him at, I think it was the Odeon Brixton. I saw Little Richard, and opening, I think it was the Rolling Stones or something like that. It was the most peculiar show. And it was fantastic. It was fantastic. But Richard was really cool at that time.
Who was it that inspired you, that made you want to get into music? It was?
Yeah, without doubt.
And you met him?
Yeah, I met him not until 2 or 3 years ago. And the most extraordinary thing was that I never knew in all these years that it has the same eye problem as I do.
Does it?
In the same eye. And so
How come? What was
it
his...
was like, oh, wow.
God, you bonded.
I know, we bonded.
Have you met anybody else with the same problem?
That's it. Apparently
you
the
and
guy in
Richard.
X-Files has got it as well.
Ah.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's 2 or 3 of us out there. We are among you.
Yes. If you weren't David Bowie pop star, what would you be? Apart from artist. Or
Yeah,
isn't
that's it. David Bowie painter probably, or put
Painter and
together.
decorator.
Painter and decorator. Wallpaper designer, yeah.
If you could pick anybody to sing with that you haven't sung with.
Scott Walker.
Right, you never... Is that...
I would love to work with Scott in some way.
Excellent, okay. Who are your heroes in life?
I'm always worried about that definition. It's probably very corny, but I guess somebody that's forever inspirational to me would be Buddha.
Right. I thought you were lapsed.
Yeah, but yes, I am. It doesn't mean that I still don't have great admiration for what he originally said and what he was trying to teach.
Right. So you still follow his teachings as best as...
I think as best as I possibly can. I hope that I'm a decent human being.
It is important to you to have some sort of spirituality.
Yes, very.
Could you not exist without that?
It's a cornerstone of my life, actually.
Yeah?
To be honest, yeah. Yeah.
How often do you dwell on it, or how does it
Daily,
mean? Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, I deal with that. I deal with death. I deal with life every day of my life.
Otherwise you'd go insane?
No, I think it's necessary to do that, to retain some kind of balance and equilibrium in day-to-day living.
Keep that
Oh, you're
sparkle in
getting
your
very
eyes.
serious now.
No. Something I've been dwelling on. What's your most annoying habit? What would your friends say was really annoying? You know, this is where we should be calling your wife or something.
Oh my God, my obvious ones, I talk too much. I can really talk. You don't know. I can really, really talk.
About anything?
Even when I'm straight, I can talk. You just don't know what I used to be like in the 70s. I used to talk to nobody in the room. I just talk and talk and talk. Also, thing that annoys me is that I'm too willing to play devil's advocate. If anybody sets up some kind of debate, I'll immediately take the other side just because.
Just because?
Just because, yeah.
I hate
My son
people like
has
you.
the same thing. So we'll murder together.
God.
Because we'll argue until the sun comes up.
Right. Even if you don't believe what you're saying.
Yeah. Just to see
argue.
how the mechanics of the argument go, you know?
God.
See who can win.
And who does win out of you and him?
Oh, he does, of course.
Just because you let him. What's the worst?
No, actually, not these days, no.
No, sad. What's the worst thing you've ever done? Something you're deeply ashamed of?
I don't think I'd want to talk about that.
Okay, if you could
Too many things come to mind.
What's your poison?
Probably both drugs and alcohol. 2 things I don't touch.
Right. And what are you carrying on you right now? What do you have in your pockets?
All right. I'll tell you.
Are you a man who carries cash, or do you have people that pay for you? Pay for everything now.
People that pay for you. I
thought you were like the royal family now.
No, you see, I got
You've got loads of cash.
about 100 quid. You see, oh yeah, I always keep a roll. Listen, ever since I was 16, ever since I had my first job, I had a wad down my sock. Always keep
Down your sock, right? Okay.
Yeah, a couple of credit cards.
Fine.
And a voice it.
A voice it. What's that for? Is that
Voice
for
it is
ideas and what's on in the moment?
Think of an idea and put it on the voice it.
Think of an idea and put it on the voice.
See? It's great.
Marvellous.
It's like a talking notepad. It's really cool. This is great.
It looks smart.
It's fantastic and it works.
Okay.
A
Breath
pack
fresheners?
of mints.
Must have chewing gum. Bands always have chewing gum
No.
when they come in.
I'm not a band though, am I? That's it.
You're still working with Brian Eno?
Yeah, he's
Will
gone
you
off
always
to
be?
Russia for the rest of the year and he won't be back till Christmas. So we keep working with each other. I mean, there's no way that we won't. But there's other people that I hope to be working with. I hope to be doing a bit of work with Goldie next year.
Yeah.
And I'm doing some work with Trent Reznor from Nine Inch Nails next year.
What's that?
Well, we're doing a bit of this and a bit of that.
You are such a
little
slippery
secret
character.
things.
Okay. So
And,
Goldie, Trent,
Doing my stuff.
Clangs,
going
all these
outdoors.
names
You see, I
dropping.
really need a year off. I mean, I've got a lot of stuff I want to get accomplished next year.
don't you have another kid as well? Did I read? Was
Yeah, but
true?
that only takes a couple of hours. Or
Does it?
all night in
that's
my
very
case,
impressive.
of course, yeah.
All right, thank you very much for coming in. Okay, I think we owe it to you to play one of your records now, seeing as you've chosen stuff that's around at the moment, so you can pick a track from your history.
Well, it's recent history. This is the track that we do on stage, and we enjoyed doing a lot. It's called Looking for Satellites from the Earthling album.
Nowhere, shampoo, TV, come back, Boyzone, Slim Time, Showdown, can't stop.